He struck her hard in the face, knocking her unconscious. When she came to, the nightmare grew even worse. He attacked her with horrifying brutality. She begged him to stop, but he showed no mercy. He continued his relentless assault until she gradually lost consciousness. At the beginning of the story, Tessa Thorne, a renowned novelist known for her gripping mysteries, is on the phone with a friend. She has a fan meet and greet at the library later that day, an important event she needs to prepare for quickly. After confirming her plans, Tessa jumps into her car, enters the library's address into her GPS, and hits the road. The drive is long and winding, but she stays focused, determined to make a lasting impression. At last, Tessa arrived. Her heart pounded with excitement as she parked and stepped out of the car. Standing nearby with a warm, radiant smile was Ramona, the gracious and welcoming owner of the library. She approached with open arms, a true embodiment of the community spirit behind this special event. It was Ramona who had personally invited Tessa to share her journey and insights with the eager audience waiting inside. As Tessa took a deep breath, a surge of excitement and deep gratitude washed over her. As Tessa walked through the library doors, the atmosphere instantly lit up. Smiles spread across familiar faces as readers recognized her arrival. Standing before them, ready to speak, Tessa felt surrounded by a powerful wave of warmth, support, and admiration. These weren't just fans, they were individuals whose lives had been touched by her stories. Their love for her work wasn't just uplifting, it was the very spark that kept her passion alive, giving her creative journey a deeper sense of meaning and fulfillment. In that moment, Tessa knew she was exactly where she was meant to be, sharing her voice with people who genuinely valued it. As the event came to a close and she prepared to head out, Ramona approached with a kind smile and offered a helpful shortcut that could shave nearly an hour off her drive home. Grateful for the tip, Tessa felt a surge of relief. She slid into her car, entered the new route into her GPS, and hit the road, eager for the journey ahead. As Tessa drove, a mix of relief and anticipation settled over her. Soon, she'd be home after a long, exhausting day. But without warning, a stray piece of wood flew up and lodged beneath her tire, forcing her to slam on the brakes. Stepping out to inspect the damage, her heart sank. The tire was completely flat. Glancing around, she realized she was stranded at a rundown gas station that looked like it had been abandoned for years. Not a single person was in sight, just the empty road stretching endlessly ahead, leaving her with a chilling awareness of how truly alone and vulnerable she was. Tessa faced a daunting challenge, changing a flat tire alone on a deserted highway, with little hope that another vehicle would pass by. Standing by the roadside, she held onto a flicker of hope. When a bus appeared, she waved frantically, but it rushed past without slowing down. Disheartened, she soon spotted another car approaching in the distance. Taking a deep breath, she signaled once more. This time, fortune smiled on her. The car slowed and came to a stop right in front of her. Tessa hurried to the driver for help. He smiled, introduced himself as Lester, and began fixing the tire. Relief washed over her until she spotted wooden planks with nails in his truck, like the one that caused her flat. Her relief turned to dread as Lester's warm eyes hardened into the cold, calculating gaze of a predator. As Lester fixed the tire, his friendly facade faded into something darker. Realizing she was alone, his intentions turned sinister. Before Tessa could react, he struck her hard, knocking her out. When she awoke, she was trapped in his speeding vehicle and the real nightmare had begun. As Lester fixed the tire, his friendly facade darkened. Realizing she was alone, he lunged, knocking her unconscious with a brutal punch. When she awoke, trapped in his speeding vehicle, the real nightmare began. Lester's savage attack. Tessa screamed and begged for mercy, but Lester's cruelty showed no mercy. Pain and despair consumed her, dragging her into unconsciousness. When her body went limp, he lifted her over his shoulder without a hint of feeling and carried her deep into the shadowy forest, far from any chance of rescue. With cold indifference, he threw her to the ground. Tessa lay motionless, lifeless, and hollow like a forgotten doll. Lester dragged Tessa's limp body through dry leaves to an even more remote spot. He tossed her aside like trash and disappeared into the darkness. Slowly, Tessa stirred and tried to stand, but her legs gave out, sending her crashing to the cold ground. As she turned her head, a chilling sight met her eyes, lifeless bodies scattered nearby, their vacant stares frozen in emptiness. They were Lester's past victims, once fighting to survive like her, but never given a second chance. A fierce fire ignited within her. She refused to become another victim. She had to escape. Summoning every ounce of strength, Tessa stood up. Her legs trembled, but she kept moving. Each unsteady step wasn't just a bid for freedom. It was proof of her unyielding will to survive. She pressed on, aware that danger still lurked in the shadows. Every step was a battle, but one truth drove her forward. If she stopped now, this nightmare would be her fate. When a car approached, Tessa's heart raced and panic surged through her. Instinct took over and she darted into the shadows, desperate to stay hidden. Any trust she once had in strangers had been shattered by the nightmare she'd endured. She couldn't risk asking for help. After a long, exhausting journey, she finally reached a small store. Stepping inside, a faint sense of safety washed over her for the first time since it all began. Tessa fumbled for her phone, hands trembling as she dialed her friend's number, desperate for a familiar voice. But no one answered. Disappointed but resolute, she pressed on, each step heavier than the last. Once inside her home, she hurried to her locker, hands shaking as she grabbed her gun. Carefully loading each bullet, she knew this was her only chance to protect herself. Lester had her bag, her address, and knew exactly where she lived. The nightmare wasn't over. Exhausted and injured, Tessa refused to go to the hospital. She couldn't risk facing anyone or leaving her home, fearing Lester might come back to finish what he started. Instead, she retreated to the safest corner of her house, the only place where she felt in control. While time healed her physical wounds, the scars on her soul remained, fueling a fierce, unrelenting thirst for revenge. She couldn't let Lester roam free and destroy more lives. Tessa vowed to confront him, and this time, be the one in control. As she mapped out her next move, her phone rang. A voice informed her that her car was ready for pickup, but warned she needed to get there before the police got involved. Without hesitation, Tessa hurried to the impound lot. There, she encountered an older woman who noticed her injuries and softly asked what had happened. Finally unburdening herself, Tessa recounted her brutal encounter with Lester. The woman then shared her own painful past, abused by her stepfather, left disabled and blind. Her story struck Tessa deeply, a reminder that some scars never heal. In a quiet, sorrowful voice, the woman warned her of the heartless cruelty in the world and urged her to stay strong and vigilant. Finally home, Tessa turned on her computer and found alarming photos of herself taken by Ramona at the library, along with Ramona's push for her to take the shortcut. Suspicion replaced confusion. A chill ran down her spine as the horrifying truth sank in. Ramona had set her up, leading her straight into Lester's trap. The bitter truth surfaced: Lester was Ramona's son. She hadn't just set Tessa up, she'd sent Lester photos, enabling the attack. Clutching her gun, Tessa stormed to Ramona's house. When the door opened, Ramona froze, eyes wide with terror. Tessa was alive and aiming a gun at her. Ramona fell to her knees, trembling and begging for mercy, tears streaming as she pleaded innocence. But under Tessa's cold, steady gaze, her cries died. Showing no sympathy, Tessa raised the gun. Ramona lunged to wrestle it away, but Tessa fought back and pulled the trigger. Ramona collapsed, falling victim to the fate she had planned for Tessa. Tessa wiped blood from her face, trembling as she spotted a photo of Lester and his younger brother, Lester's bandaged hand and tense expression clear as he drove away. Gripping her gun, she chased him to a remote spot. Jumping from her car, she found no sign of him. Then, a truck appeared. Instinctively, she hid, sure Lester was behind the wheel. The truck stopped and Tessa stepped from the shadows, finger on the trigger. She fired without hesitation, striking the man's head. But as he fell, her heart sank. It wasn't Lester, but his brother. Overcome with grief, she collapsed beside the lifeless body, tears streaming down her face. Tessa entered the empty house, her flashlight trembling as it revealed a chilling wall of photos: Lester and his brother, assaulting and killing young women. Her heart froze as she realized the monsters weren't alone. Their mother was complicit, luring victims, planning kidnappings, and aiding the brutal murders. The horror deepened as Tessa recalled a flash from Lester's brother, snapping photos during the attack. Moving silently through the house, she spotted Lester, unaware of her presence. Tightening her grip on the gun, she held back, wanting him to see her and feel the fear he once caused. Lester spun, eyes wide with shock. Tessa, the woman he thought dead, now stood before him, gun ready. Furious, he lunged to finish the job. Tessa fired, the bullet hit, but he didn't fall. Wounded and relentless, he charged with deadly rage. Thinking fast, Tessa grabbed a rusty, nail-studded plank and swung, driving nails deep into his face. He screamed in agony, blood streaming down his face, but still struggled to crawl to the car, desperate to flee. Weak and wounded, his trembling hands failed at the door handle. As his vision blurred and breath faltered, he knew it was over, no escape. Tessa stepped forward, aimed at his final weakness, and fired. It was done. Her revenge complete, she was finally free to move on from the nightmare.
He couldn't lift himself, his trembling hands failing at the door handle. As his vision blurred and breath faltered, he knew it was the end, no escape. Tessa stepped forward, aimed at his last weakness,